Alright, today we're doing more tier lists, because this is apparently what I do now. The first thing I'm going to start with is, wow, all the patches. So, first we got World of Warcraft, the base game when it launched. This isn't rose-tinted goggles, and it's not nostalgia going back to Classic. Classic is running on the final version of that game. This game launched in November 2004. There was nothing like this. This game, there's nothing even close. It caught a lot of flack from elite players of other games like EverQuest and the old style MMOs, RuneScape players, those type of people. They hated this because it was still more casual than they were used to. But in my opinion, this version of the game for 2004 was just mind-blowing. The launch went really bad. I played on the first day. You couldn't do anything. They reset pretty much all your progress. I mean, on the account it took like 4 days to install, but my dad was a beta tester, so I had the game like pre-set up and everything. But the launch of World of Warcraft, which would go on to be, in my opinion, the greatest game of all time that we've gotten so far. S. Mysteries of Maraudon. Now, people don't even know that this was a patch. People thought Maraudon has always been in the game. I remember going down to Maraudon before it was open and thinking, they're going to put this in at some point. And then they put it in like a month after the game launched. It was good. But it's B. It should have been baseline. This should have been in the game. It bridged the gap between, like, mid-game and end-game. There was a dagger that dropped from Maraudon. I forget what it's called, but, like, everybody still wants it. It casts a Shadow Bolt and gives you back, like, a ridiculous amount of mana. People don't realize Maraudon was even a patch, but I remember it was the first one, 1.2. 1.1 was like server stability stuff. They basically made the game work. Runes of Dire Maul. I'm gonna be honest, personally, I didn't really like the whole winged thing. You had to do like Dire Maul. You had to do like Dire Maul, east, west, and then north was like the tribute runs. It was another bridge between like, I'm gonna say the end game and like being elite, because you could be an end game player and still not be able to do a tribute run. This was fun, and the tribute run gave you really good stuff. I remember you needed some of the stuff from the tribute run to even like think about going into Molten Core. Call to War. The world PvP, it was essential for the game. It needed to be in. But without the battlegrounds, the only way to rank up was to kill people in the open world. So, like, Eastern Plaguelands became unplayable for a couple months until they finally... Battlegrounds? I want to say S, but it's a feature that should have been in the game from the beginning, too. And they took a couple months to put this out. I think this came out in, like, June, July 2005. We played 6 months with no PvP, and then they finally put PvP, and then it was bad for like another month until they put in a way to actually like PvP, you know? Assault on Blackwing Lair. Oh man. I really like Blackwing Lair. It was finally something to do for the people that have been grinding Molten Core. I mean, a lot of people back then, a lot of people weren't grinding molten core, but I mean, my friends and I were. I was young, but my dad ran the best guild on the server. So, I really liked Assault on Blackwing Lair. It might be biased because I was one of the first people to see it, but fun, really fun. Rise of the Blood God. B for blood. Very fun. It has that epidemic thing that everybody always talks about, where the corrupted blood got out of the raid and infected the whole world. It never happened on my server for some reason. It happened on like every server but mine. I'm not sure I liked ZG being 20 man, how it split your group into two groups. And this had stuff in it that you really wanted. It acted kind of like a bridge between MC and BWL. Because some of the stuff in here was itemized better. Yeah, I think B's a good spot for that. Dragon's a nightmare. I don't like it. I remember doing these dragons and their mechanics were just really annoying. They were way ahead of their time. Basically they put this stuff on the ground where if you stood in it, it would put you to sleep. You could get the spell, you could like just avoid it. But back then these servers were not good enough for this. And I want to put this in the context, I'm not rating this based on the classic re-release, because the re-release, this stuff works, and it's good. I'm talking back in like 06, 05, 06, when this stuff was like... When this was out originally. Gates of Anchorage. I used to be like here with it. But since the re-release... I remember how fun this is. This was better than the actual release of the game. Huge, massive quest line to unlock the gate. People got the black scarabs. Everything from drama to fun stuff. I mean, like, there's finally a... I've always been a warrior, so I'm biased here again. There was actually a DPS warrior set finally. Tier 2.5 is like what you wear as a DPS warrior. Cool iconic weapons. The Dark Edge of Insanity. Sethune was cool. The bug mounts are cool. The outside stuff, like killing Twilight guys, was cool. You actually, like, Silithus actually had a purpose. What people don't realize is before this patch, Silithus, there was like nothing there. There was Cenarian Hold was the main flight point, and you'd never go there for any reason. The only reason Silithus was there was so that like 60 mobs existed in the game, so you could grind from like 58 to 60 killing monsters. It still to this day feels relatively kind of unfinished because there's like Anchorage is there, but there's a whole like zone behind it that's still not in the game. I hope in like the War Within or something with the Nerubians coming back, they actually do something with what's behind this, because there's a whole area back there that's unused still. Storms of Azeroth. Controversial take. I really like this patch. Adding weather to the game was awesome. I like the weather effects. I wish they had some kind of effect on you. It was a very needed thing. This is a huge balance patch too. I remember they fixed a lot of stuff. I think they changed the shaman's whole like talent tree around. This was fun. I like this. The only issue I have with this is it's like they forgot about it. They put storms in the game and then it was around for like this patch, and then I don't know if you're just so used to it now that you don't notice it, or if it's just only happens in old Azeroth. But it's like weather came and went. It was like one of those things. Drums of War. It improved the PvP more. It's like a mid patch. I mean, this Arathi Basin is on it, so I think this one of the Arathi Basins came in the game. And they got the PvP sets, like the highest rank one. Like, this kind of sucks. It's mid because it improved the PvP, but the fact you could be the best PvP rank in the game and there was like nothing for you until this patch really sucked. Like, you were a High Warlord and there was no High Warlord gear. Shadow of the Necropolis, dude. Nah, it wasn't as cool as the drama and stuff that came out of Anchorage. This was funny. This is the final solidified version of, well, 112 is the final. Oh, patch 112 is down here. Drums of War. Okay. Shadow Necropolis is still cooler. The final raid of the expansion, and it pretty much closed the expansion out. At this point, I think they were already talking about the Burning Crusade, homie. Yeah, I think seeing Kel'Thuzad from Warcraft 3 was cool. We finally got like a villain that I knew the name of. No, Shadow on the Necropolis was awesome. Best gear in the game. And it's on par with a lot of like TBC gear. Like, if you wear tier 3, TBC is like easy until like 68. Burning Crusade. Top of the A's. The launch of Burning Crusade was awesome. Except for the Hellfire problem. The fact that they thought funneling everybody through one zone would work, it didn't work. The server didn't even come up for like 2 days. When it did work, Burning Crusade was super fun. I was smart, and I think I did a couple Hellfire quests and instantly went to Zangarmarsh. I don't think I even messed around. Like I said, we were very hardcore guild in Classic. I think I had some pieces of tier 3. And I just booked it to Zangarmarsh. I was like, I'm not putting up with this zone. And then I came back and did it later because some of the attunements and stuff you needed to do Hellfire quests. But I really like Burning Crusade launch. It's not S, because the launch of the original game was just, there was nothing like it. By this time, they should have like already been thinking like, we need to way overestimate our numbers. How do I put this? I feel like they should have learned from the original launch that, like, hey, way more people are going to play this than we expect. Black Temple? Oh, man. Black Temple was awesome. I remember doing all the other raids, doing all the other tournaments, and we finally got to go face the villain of not only this expansion, but I feel like the story that Warcraft 3 left me wondering, like, what's Illidan doing? Like, why haven't we seen him yet? And then it was awesome. There was, like, lore characters that showed up while you were running through this. Like, halfway through you meet, like, a Kama, and he's, like, got his whole little plot against Illidan, and you're like, wow, this is really Black Temple. I don't know. Other people don't like it. I thought fighting the villain of the expansion and, oh man, this was, yeah, this was awesome. I can't even tell you. The worst part of this patch was the council fight. It was like the first time they did a council fight, and it was the penultimate fight right before Illidan, and it was way harder than Illidan. Like fighting 4 different bosses that are like equally powerful. The only good thing is they shared a health pool, but um, I think this is where they realized they need to do better with council fights. Voice chat F. To this day, I don't know anybody who uses it. I don't know if it even works. I think it's like okay. Yeah, voice chat's okay, but it's an F for the fact to this day still it's a failed feature. I think me and my friends tried it for like one day and then we went back to just like let's just use Ventrilo, it actually works. This doesn't. Gods of Zulaman. Mid. A lot of people played this, said it was really fun, but to me it was like Burning Crusade's version of Zilgarub. It bridged a gap, but the gap didn't need to be bridged because people really needed to... How do I put this? Learn to play, like... I'm trying to put this nicely and not be non-toxic for one video. This bridged a gap that didn't need to be bridged. If you didn't do your tournaments and stuff, you shouldn't be raiding. Just... Yeah, it bridged a gap that didn't need to be bridged. It was cool aesthetic. The dude who lost his arm was cool, and the tribute run to get the bear was really fun. Overall, this felt really like filler. The people who did it really liked it, but I think I had like full tier 6 already. I was just like, I'm not doing Zulaman with you guys. I don't care. Fear of the Sunwell. People are going to hate me for putting in an F. F for Fury. It failed on so many levels for me. I was already so sick of doing dailies. This whole expansion was doing the Scatus dailies, doing the Ogre Law dailies, and then they give me a whole island full of dailies that weren't even like, they weren't fun and they were literally required. I think to get like a tune you needed to do this. And the actual raid was so beyond harder than Black Temple was. Like the attunement web, I wish I would have pulled it up here, but you needed to do like Hyjal and Serpent Shrine to get into... No, you needed to do Tempest Keep and... Man, I'm trying to remember. You needed to do like all this stuff to get into Karazhan, to get into Serpent Shrine, to get into Tempest Keep, to get into Hyjal, to get into Black Temple. And then all this stuff to get into Sunwell. And then you finally did all that, and the first boss in Sunwell was like Illidan level hard. This was like, by the time you got to like Mauru, people thought it was literally impossible because that's how hard it was. I mean, people eventually did it. You got SK Gaming with the world first killed Jaden, but like, this was dumb. This was like, I don't know who it was made for. People who like dailies, I guess. And the raiders didn't like the raid because it was so... It was harder than like Wrath level bosses in here. I don't know why they made this so hard. I guess like lore wise it makes sense because Kill Jaden's like this right hand man to like the big bad, but this was a different level of difficulty. And the people are gonna say the pull counts and stuff. They weren't very. It was a different time, you know. I don't know. It was too hard. I don't know. I sound like people are gonna like, you're whining. You didn't do Fear of the Sun well, where you had like guys in tier 6 and they would just get one shot by like anything. Wrath of the Lich King. The launch? I love Wrath of the Lich King. Huge Wrath of the Lich King bias. But the launch wasn't so good. Um, they tried to split up the player base. Horde went to Howling Fjord, and Alliance went to the boring Tundra. That kind of worked, but not really. Both those zones still crashed. I think I did the same thing I knew better. I ran my ass to Sholazar Basin right away. And as level 70, I was killing like level 76 Crocs to level up because I didn't want to deal with the two zones that kept crashing. Fun. Really fun. Older me would put it there, but replaying it and remembering the launch, it wasn't an S, man. And Nax being the first tier rehashed, and people did it in like a week because they had done it before, and it was dumbed down to like dent levels. Like you could literally be dented and probably figure out how to do Wrath of the Lich King at launch. Secrets of Ulduar. You know where that's going. Ulduar was a surprise that came out of nowhere and made so many different systems that still impact the game today. For example, hard modes. People wanted to activate hard modes. I mean, now we got like Mythic rating, but this was like a prototype of like Mythic Plus. And I guarantee at some point they're going to announce Mythic Plus rating, right? With like affixes and stuff. And Ulduar is the blueprint for all of that. And from what I understand, it was kind of a fluke. It wasn't supposed to go that way, but that's the way it went. And the fights in here are fun, except one. I hate Memoron, but all the other fights are iconic. Yeah, Elgalan, the Raid Destroyer, was arguably, they argue he's the hardest boss they've ever made. Even though now looking back, it's not. But, Yogg Saron was awesome, where you could pick the different guys to, like, help you or not. Fun, really fun. Call of the Crusade. Let's talk about Call of the Crusade. Mid. Very mid. Original release. Original release was really fun. I like this patch, the outdoor stuff to do. The raid, however, it's just boss after boss after boss. No trash. Which in hindsight was a good thing. But then you had the mid-boss, which was literally made like PvP. Like Resilience actually helped you in the third boss out of 5. The faction champions. I hated that they made a PvP fight in a PvE environment. Seeing a Nubarak again was really cool. It wasn't worth what we had to give up, though. Or not give up, but it wasn't worth having to do a PvP fight in the middle of the raid and then having, like, no trash and this going on farm in, like, a week because it was just... Normal was easy and then Heroic was, like, really hard, so... And then I think this is when they introduced the Heroic Normal split. And this is what began the problem of different difficulties in the game. I get why Heroic has to exist for people that want a harder version of it. But this was just dumb with like a tribute to a dedicated insanity, a tribute to immortality. I mean, it gave you stuff that's no longer obtainable, but like even today there's like I saw one of the amounts as a 0.00% acquisition rate because nobody who did it plays anymore. Literally everyone who participated in this patch is gone. Sad. Call of the Crusade is very mid. Fall of the Lich King. I'm sorry, but this is my favorite patch of all time. We finally got to finish a story that had been going on for like the better part of a decade, probably longer, like 12, 15 years, something like that. I finally got to ascend the fucking thing at the end of Warcraft 3. Saw that he built a castle around this. I love it. I don't know what to say. Other people might think it's got its problems and stuff, and it does. I never want to rate anything like 10 out of 10 perfect. But as a guy who likes the story, and liked the story since Warcraft 1 through Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, this was it, man. This finished. It gave me closure to a story that I had invested a decade into. It's my favorite patch. Maybe yours have different opinions, but I love Fall of the Lich King. Cataclysm launch actually was really good. It changed the whole world, and people want to give it crap, but the Cataclysm launch was good. It was the first time I remember it. I mean, it still lagged and stuff, but I don't remember the starting zones like actually crashing. I remember being like trying to rush like Realm First 85. I didn't get it, but I remember being in the Twilight Highlands when everybody else was like doing like Deep Home or whatever. I remember my dad came home and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Twilight Highlands," and he's like, "Oh, you gonna hit Realm First 85?" And I said, "I don't know, but I gotta try." I stayed up all night. I didn't get it. I didn't even get First Warrior. But I remember I was the only one in the Twilight Highlands. I don't know if they had started phasing and stuff yet, but I didn't see anybody. I remember I was like BIS from the end of Wrath. I didn't really need to do any of the quests to get any of the green gear or anything. I was pretty much set. I got Shadowmourne on the last day of Wrath of the Lich King. And I used it to great effect pretty much through Cataclysm. I mean, it was a legendary, so it should have been good, but they brought back Single-Minded Fury, and I really wanted to try that. But I was locked into my Shadowmourne, and then whatever stupid quest blue was like more DPS than my Shadowmourne, but it was fun just blasting through the quests. And then I remember thinking in Twilight Highlands, looking up and seeing the Bastion of Twilight, and I'm like, that raid's going to be fun, and then it proceeded to kind of suck, except for Sinestra, which was awesome, but Cho'Gall and Sinestra, fun, but at this point my guild had started to fall off. They were becoming more casual. We struggled in Bastion of Twilight. We were still the first guild on the server to do it on a heroic or whatever, but it was starting to fall off. And Sinestra was fun, but it needed a lot of coordination, and I think at this point even I was like slowly like thinking I'm gonna go casual, because if this is what they have to offer me, I don't know. I was so hyped for it, and then it was, yeah, I just, it was mid. Okay. No, the launch was great, but the raid was mid. Rise of the Zandalari. I don't remember this. Yeah, I think they put in like some kind of like Zandalari invasions or something, but oh man. God, for a patch I can't really remember. It must be like a D, right? Now, Rage of the Firelands. Bottom of the barrel S, but it makes it an S. Whew. Seeing our boy Ragnaros again. And this was hard, and the difficulty scaling was like perfect because when you finish normal, you went to heroic, and the first boss in heroic felt about as hard as Ragnaros, to be fair. And then it scaled up from there, and then heroic Ragnaros was like too hard in my opinion. I remember watching Paragon do the world first. We were on like the second boss in heroic, and I'm sitting there watching the world first of Ragnaros, and I'm like, guys, by the time we get to like boss 4, you guys are gonna be so done with this. And then they all went and watched the video too, and were like, yeah, the amount of stuff Paragon is doing is like running from boulders, and then he grows legs, and like the leg phase, the whole room gets covered in cinders. I mean, it's cool. It was really cool, but difficulty scaling was like perfect. I feel like the gear that dropped made perfect sense. I loved Rage of the Firelands. I even love the zone, the daily quest zone. For some reason, it's one of those daily quest zones where it's like, I want to go back and do this again. The Blazing Hippogriff, I still have it. I don't ride it, but fun, very fun. Hour of Twilight. Yikes. We got another stinker. Voice chat's got to be the worst of the worst, considering it still to this day nobody uses it, but yikes. The Hour of Twilight, boys. Dragon Soul was not good. The dungeons were not good. The gear is not good. The balance was not good. Nothing was good. They tried to be ambitious and do all these different things. Oh, man. In the words of our favorite bald streamer, why the fuck did Deathwing get destroyed by Thrall basically throwing a pancake at him? Like, smacks him in the face, and he's like, no! And explodes, and like, you fight like his limbs, and it was supposed to be the coolest dragon fight the game's ever had, and they just... You fought like him as like a pile of goo. And on his back. The Spine of Deathwing fight was really cool, like aesthetically, but then when you do it like 3 or 4 times, you're like, this fight, like, aesthetically cool, but like gameplay-wise sucks. Let's talk about the Miss Pandaria. Behind the classic launch, but like cooler than Black Temple. For being something that started as an April Fool's joke and ended up being an expansion, they made it work, and it was good. The Jade Forest was awesome. The Valley of the Four Winds, those 2 cities were awesome. That was your login screen, the 2 Mogu guys going like, what else about Mist's launch? The first raid wasn't just one raid, it was the vaults. I remember everything led up to Terrace and his swing, but it was kind of like a soft attunement, and it made perfect sense. You had to like finish the hardest difficulty of the previous one to get to the next one. I remember Shaw of Fear lasted quite a long time because even the top guilds had to do the other 2 raids first before they could go into Terrace of Endless Spring. Shaw of Fear was one of my favorite boss designs ever. On Heroic, how he teleports you down and then you're like in this like dream state kinda. Oh man. And Mist's launch was awesome. Okay, let's move on. Landfall. F, dude. I don't get this patch. They announced it, and they announced all these features and stuff. I never interacted with or did a single thing with any of these features. There was some kind of, like, PvP thing. There was some kind of new daily hub. There were, like, Zandalari, little Zandalari invasions. It was like a rehash of this. But whereas I slightly remember this, I never interacted with a single thing from Landfall. They improved the Farmville farm by like 2 plots. I don't, Landfall, I don't. They followed up with one of the best patches ever. Ever. Thunder King goes between these two. Ulduar is just one of the blueprints for what the future is. And Shadow of the Necropolis was the end of the classic game, so the Thunder King was awesome. I didn't quite like the Daily Hub. It was really hard to navigate. I really liked the world boss that came down like every hour. Whatever the Stormborn, still trying to get him as a mount to this day. But the raid was fun. It was really long, but it was fun because I think it had like 13 bosses, and you could go kill like 6 bosses, and everybody was happy because everybody walked out with like a tier piece, and they're like, "Hey, there's still like 7 bosses in there we could go try." The difficulty scaling was like fun. Like the first boss didn't even Jinrock the Breaker. He didn't even really feel like a boss. He felt like a trash mob or something. But it was fun because like people could learn, like run away from the orbs, and then a heroic. It was like, okay, now you got to execute that right every time because if like a lightning orb hits the wall or whatever, everybody wipes. But it was fun because it like took the stuff from normal, the stuff you learned from normal, and you had to apply it like semi perfectly in heroic for the first few bosses to like be able to progress. And the Thunder King himself, Lei Shen, one of the best end bosses ever designed. He had just like a perfect amount of mechanics, a perfect amount of like aesthetic. For a boss that in lore they kind of just came up with on the spot, they really fleshed him out. And then Raden, you finally beat Thunder King. You beat Thunder King on heroic. I never did, but I know people who did. And then they're like, dude, Raden like is just a bonus boss that's like hard as shit, but like drops the best stuff in the game. It all dropped. We're not going to talk about Thunder Forging and War Forging right now. I'm not going to go into that rant, but Raden dropped everything he dropped was always Thunder Forged. And I think it had like a chance to drop like one random item from any other boss in there, but it always dropped like max Thunder Forged. So like you wanted to do Raden on the off chance that like one of your raiders would just get a perfect item. Escalation. That's bottom of the barrel, man. That's worse than Landfall. Again, they increased our Farmville slots by like 2. And they're like, oh my god, the Horde and Alliance are really going after each other now. Like nothing happened. I did this quest chain that took like 4 quests. And then Varian's like, we're gonna go get them. I'm like, thanks. And then it gave you like a transmog set. This sucked. Escalation? You escalated what? Siege of Orgrimmar. I really, really, looking back, like Siege of Orgrimmar. It was too many bosses. Not gonna lie, way too many bosses. Took way too long to get through. But it was fun. The Calaxy guys right before Garrosh. The boss is not even a boss. You just go like break open boxes, but then the boxes have like crazy stuff in them. I think Millhouse Manastorm was in one of the boxes and could like help you. And it was awesome because the boxes, like every time you wiped and reset, the boxes would like reset. Garrosh himself with the iron stars that would come across the room. His heroic only phase where he like went ape shit and like the old gods like infested him and he was like huge and standing in front of Stormwind. Yeah, Siege was awesome. Cinematics and leading up to Siege were awesome too. Warlords of Draenor. Very mid to bad launch. I hate that to this day, if you want to like not do Kermie time and actually level through normally, you have to do this stupid fucking opener with the Draenor guys. And Khadgar. Oh, Dadgar. Some people like Khadgar. I can't stand him every 5 seconds. He's like Magni Light, where he's like, champions, help me, blah blah blah. Now Blackrock Foundry was awesome, but again, it was like another 3-tier thing where Blackrock Foundry was, you had to do the other 2 raids first before you could think about going to Blackrock Foundry, because Blackrock Foundry was like way harder than the other 2. The other one, I don't remember. I just remember Blackrock Foundry was awesome, but like it you need to do other stuff first. Very mid-launch, very cool to run, very cool to do the opening quest line like once or twice, but then after that I'm like, please let me skip it. They do now with Kermie time, but it lasted like 2 expansions too long of that you couldn't skip this opening. 6.1. This is the worst patch they've ever done. Even worse than voice chat that nobody uses to this day. See the 2 symbols here? Huge problems in the game. Photography, which I don't want to do. And the WoW token. Ooh. Legally buy your gold now, guys. Give us more money. You know what? Actually, you know what this tier is, guys. It's gotta be done, man. It's gotta be done. The Bobby Kotick tier. I can't explain this patch. Even to this day, it rubs me the wrong way because it's supposed to be a funny joke. But if you go to the garrison, there's literally a gravestone that says Raid D tier. Like Raid tier. And it just pisses me off, even though it's supposed to be a joke. Because you're going to tell me a $60 billion a year company couldn't make a raid tier along with the camera? Fuck yourself. Sorry, I'm done being mad. Okay, Fury of Hellfire. Mid. Almost like C level mid. This raid, it only gets a B because this raid was really fun. The Hellfire Citadel and Archimond at the end. It started out good and then lasted a year. No, a year and a month. It got to the point where I was like running Archimond heroic kills by myself and charging people like gold for it. Just to get like, and then I had made so much gold from doing this that I'm like, I'm tired of making gold. Let's just join Friendship Moose. And then I did Friendship Moose for like 3 months. I really like the raid. I really like the lore of Archimond being there because he's from a different timeline or whatever. And like how he sent Gul'dan to our timeline, which like made it make sense. Like time travel never makes sense, but this time it actually did. It's like lore-wise and stuff, it moves like with the duration and stuff, it's like down here. But then the lore and stuff brings it like back. I don't know. Other people might disagree and put this in like F or Bobby Kotick, but like I like it. I even like going back and running it for like transmogs and stuff. This was cool, but it lasted way too long. World of Warcraft Legion launch. I was so hyped for Demon Hunters, and so was everybody else, and like all these little like things they announced. And once again, they let us down by not doing half of the things they announced. Demon Hunters was supposed to be this hero class. They said they were supposed to be even better than Deathlights when they launched. They weren't. I hate Mardoom. I hate going through the Mardoom starting thing. I think Demon Hunters are fucking cool. I hate how they can only be elves. You should be able to unlock more race combinations with them. I understand they have to do like animations and stuff, but like, again, $60 billion company. The Legion launch, what was it? The Nighthold, maybe? Was it the Nighthold? I think I'm just gonna say Nighthold was okay. It was really cool as like a launch raid. Gul'dan was one of the best end bosses of all time. But the launch was just so much hype, and it just missed. It just missed, man. Return to Karazhan. Second favorite patch of all time. I remember doing Karazhan back in the day, and I wondered how they were going to revamp it. And the revamp was super, super good. Very fun. I love the chest, like the Alice in Wonderland type chest thing, where the chest was like broken up and changed, and they took everything that was Karazhan and then just continued that story. The balance changes were fun. The Nightbane like secret, like to summon Nightbane was like a secret. You had to like click these crystals in a certain like time. Man, I loved Return to Karazhan. I thought the trailers and the hype, I feel like with the bad launch of Legion, they didn't want to like overhype it, but this is the one they should have overhyped. Okay, Tomb of Sargeras. Lore-wise, favorite patch of all time. But in execution, it's better than this. Actually, you know what? I'm moving this down because of how long it took. Tomb of Sargeras, better than these things. Very fun patch. Cool daily island. Lots of lore. Lots of like new player stuff. Like a new player could get into this and be like, I'm killing rares with like people that have played for years, and like they're teaching me how to play. And the normal mode version of Tomb was like doable for the casual player, and like seeing Kil'jaeden finally get, what happened to him after Sunwell got sucked back to the Nether, and then him talking to like Sargeras for the first time, like my world and all that. Dude, Tomb of Sargeras was super fun. This is the place ever since Warcraft 3. This is the next. So Fall of Lich King is my favorite patch of all time. But I always wondered what happened to the Tomb of Sargeras, because Illidan goes there in Warcraft 3, collects the Eye of Sargeras, and then we never hear about it again until this patch. We go in there, and we go down, and we go down. Oh man, and the Fallen Avatar. I could talk about this for like an hour. But you go down and you get to see what like Sargeras used as like a body when he was here. Like the Fallen Avatar getting reanimated by Kil'jaeden was awesome. And then Kil'jaeden, his fight on his ship. Whew, good stuff. Argus, also really good stuff. Not as good as Tomb of Sargeras. Going to a different world. The Azeroth skybox where you're on the, I forget what it's called, the Xenadar, the Draenei ship, and you look down and it's all of Azeroth, and you're like, checkmate, flat earthers. But yeah, no, this Argus was awesome. The issue I have with Argus is the 3 daily quest zones should have all been like I didn't like the teleporters sitting through that load screen like constantly because I'd go kill one rare and then it would be like, kill a rare in one of each zone. And I spent more time sitting in the freaking load screen than actually doing the content. And the final boss was really dumb. How the final boss was like a proxy for Sargeras. Like, instead of fighting like Sargeras or like an avatar of him, we fought Argus, which is the world soul of their planet. But then we kill him, and it's like, we just destroyed your homeworld's world soul, which means your whole world's probably gonna like explode now. And then we get that weird ending with like Illidan. I loved it when I first saw it. Absolutely loved it. Sitting back now that I'm a little older and I think about it, I'm like, Illidan's just chilling with Sargeras. They're never gonna beat each other, and they're gonna come back at some point. They set up like a perfect way to just bring those two back again. Just be like them just chilling together, talking it out. Like, I love this patch, but the lore, like aesthetics and stuff, it's like whoop, but then the lore brings it. Whoop. Battle for Azeroth launch. This is the first one that's getting like a yikes. Stuff they announced was never made it in the game. The zones were bad. The Azorite was bad. Everything was bad. It's BFA. It's not good. Yikes. I was so excited for Battle for Azeroth. And then it went from the Battle for Azeroth to the Battle for Azerite to the Battle for... I don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore. I don't get what the direction was. It was having a full war again sounded awesome, and then they just didn't do it. Tides of Vengeance. Also a D. D. Ooh, Tides of Vengeance should have been this patch. They should have worked on this patch more. It's like they announced like Ashara's coming and then finished the campaign, but then I finished the campaign and was this Dazar lore or was this Dazar lore? Because whatever Dazar lore, I hate that raid. I hate everything lore-wise to do in it. I hated Rastakhan. I hated Jaina being the final boss. Even as Alliance, like, you played as... Like, they couldn't figure out how to make Jaina, like, not good with the Alliance either. And then the only thing cool about that fight is that she freezes the freaking ocean as, like, a actual, like, fight point, plot point. But... Like, I don't know. Rise of Ashara. Very cool. Rise of Ashara was very cool. Eternal Palace was fun. I hated the Pearl thing. But in terms of, like, aesthetic and finally going to Nazjachar, and, dude, the wave walls to, like, keep you in the zone. Rise of Ashara was awesome. But again, if they would have worked, like, scrap this and worked on this twice as long, this could have been one of the best patches ever. But then they just didn't do that. Visions of N'Zoth. Actually, you know what? I liked Visions of N'Zoth more than, like, the launch of this. And it wasn't as good as, like, Zul'Grub, but I think that falls perfectly, like, there. I actually like the actual, like, Visions of N'Zoth mechanic where you went and did the little solo, like, whatever, and you had, like, 4 minutes, and, like, clicking on things, you could extend your time, and then, like, you got the cloak that let you be in there longer, which was a legendary cloak. It should have been, like, called, like, a Binding Unique or something. Again, I don't like the word legendary, but, no, I like Visions of N'Zoth. I didn't like the daily zones. I didn't like the new world bosses. I didn't like the feed your Calaxy. Um, it's like if you fed your Calaxy every day, you got a mount. I never did that. The Uldum and Mr. Pandaria revamps, I didn't like. The only. It's funny, the Visions of N'Zoth patch, the only thing I like about it that's really, really good is the actual Visions of N'Zoth. The actual, like, revamped zones and stuff, I could care less. Shadowlands. Oh, yikes. It's almost an F for me, bros. Oh, I didn't like the launch of Shadowlands. I didn't like playing through the zone. I quested it. I think you had to question Bastion first. I didn't like how biblical it was, like with the whole heaven thing, and the maw's kind of like hell, and then the jailer's like this bad guy who we later learn has no plan, even though he's supposed to be the guy behind the Lich King, who I've already is my favorite. My favorite lore ever got ruined by this. Now, Castle Nathir was awesome, but the content that came with Shadowlands, I'm disgusted. Chains of Domination. At least I know its name. Oh no. I hated Chains of Domination. Sylvanas was supposed to be so cool, and instead she just like fucking. She was mind controlled the whole time. I hated Korthia. I hated the Shards of Domination. I hated the Sanctum of Domination. I even thought it was cool to see Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas. That was cool. But the other bosses, it hurts my soul. Chains sounded like such a cool patch, and then it came out, and I'm like, this is the most lackluster thing I've ever played. Eternity's End. Better than the Hour of Twilight, but it's still so actually better than Landfall too. Worse than Fear of the Sunwell, in my opinion. Zenith Mortis sucked. Everything was a hexagon. I hated killing the rares. I hated the jailer's story. He had no plan all along. They built this villain up to be so cool, and then we got there, and I'm just like, he actually had no plan. Like, you're telling me the guy who made the Lich King and made all this pre-lore, all this other stuff, apparently he made all this other stuff happen, and he like, this whole time he's like, I got this grand plan, and then at the end he's like, I actually had no plan. I guess his plan was like to become the Arbiter again and something, but like, it's so convoluted and nonsensical. You might as well just say you didn't have a plan. I hated Eternity's End. And it's sad because they named it after the final mission of the Night Elf campaign from Warcraft 3. So I'm thinking this is like they're going to announce like WoW 2 or something after this, right? Because it's called Eternity's End. Like, it's the end. And then they announced Dragonflight, which, okay, fine. People like dragons. Dragons should have been in the game for like 6 expansions. Bad. Just bad. Dragonflight. Hot take. I love Dragonflight. The launch. The initial zones, the dragon riding, the evokers, the quest for the evokers. Again, I hope they don't make you do that. They need to make it where if you start a new evoke, you can skip that. Dragonflight's launch was the second best thing I ever liked in this game. The features they announced all made it in the game. Dragonflight's launch was incredible. There's like that one quest where you start out, it's just a dwarf talking, but he shows you the art. I mean, the two things from Blizzard that never miss is the art and the music, right? But this dwarf, you just sit and talk to him, and all he does is show you the art of this fucking game they built. People are dragging right around. The Azura Span is one of the best zones, like, ever. It's like, it's up there with, like, Grizzly Hills, right? But then we get the Forbidden Reach. And they go right back to ruining my game that I love. I stopped playing the day Zerlik Caverns came out because I tried it for one day. And I hated it. And now I'm taking a break again. People are saying that the Emerald Dream is really good. Just so you know, this, for reference, Echo just won the, just killed Fireack and won the, Race to World First Amir Drasil. For future reference, if anybody wants to know when this was recorded. I don't want to play. Zerlik Cavern, I hated it. If Emerald Dream is anything like that, I don't want to play it. I'm not excited by it. What I am excited for is the War Within. If I could rate the War Within was on here and the other two patches I just talked about, I'd rate them like A, B, somewhere in there. C. Zerlik Caverns was like a C. Very mid. So mid that it made me like take a break again because I don't care. The launch was so good. And if I could rate the hype for like War Within, bro, it's up an S. It's like between these two. Because the War Within there, and stuff they're announcing, the War Band, the Delves, the Nerubians are back. We're gonna go back to Northrend and do some stuff there. The hype for that is somewhere between Mists and the original game launch. So that's it for that one. Next, Women of Warcraft. Let's go. Let's see. Agwyn. A for Agwyn. She's okay. She literally fought Sargeras and like wasn't afraid of him. She's like, "Hey, buddy, you can't do that." And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna do it." And she's like, "But you can't." And then they just duked it out. She just like straight up stood up to Sargeras, who just like is insanely powerful. Alexstrasza. She used to be like here, but with Dragonflight, my dragon mommy is fucking doing some stuff, man. She's leading the resistance or whatever you call it. Alright. I think this is Illyria Windrunner. I used to think she was like here somewhere. I hate her character be whining about the void now. Like, we get it. You're kind of like stuck between the light and the void, and you don't think either is wrong. Just quit it. Ashara. Another S. Actually, both Asharas. Before her fall, she was elegant, and she always sought more power, and by seeking more power, she contacted Sargeras, and that's pretty much how the Warcraft lore starts. I mean, there's more to it than that, but basically our freaking mommy right here, she's the reason that stuff is still happening, pretty much, in my opinion. And when she was just a night elf, she just wanted to seek more power. And then when she's like this, she explains that like she got her power, but what did it cost her, you know? I love the story of Ashara. I used to not, but I looked into it a lot more, and Ashara is very good character, very dead zone. Not sure why there's still nothing going on in Ashara the Zone, but okay. Chromie. I love Chromie. She brought us classic WoW. Dawn of the Infants Mega Dungeon explained a lot more of her lore, and She just genuinely cares about the heroes of Azeroth and like how we're doing. She cares about how we're doing in the past, present, and future. She's went above and beyond what she needed to do as a bronze dragon to like make sure we're good, you know? Like she's just a friend. Like I don't know. I like her. I don't know who this is, so it's going in deep. I think it's Thrall's. I think it's like Hagar or something, like Thrall's mom. Never really liked her story, how she's like a gladiator and then she died and went to the Shadowlands. And assuming this is Thrall's mom, I can't tell from that picture, but they should have just left it where it was. We should have seen her in Shadowlands, but it's like a passing mention. Draka, that's her name. D for Draka. Corona Half-Orkin. I used to love her story. F. They just keep failing Corona. Every time she's mentioned, it gets worse and worse. It went from... And then the last few times they mentioned her, I just don't even want to hear about her because it just hurts my feelings. Jaina is a badass. From losing I think Arthas was supposed to be like her love interest slash boyfriend. She lost Arthas. She's been through so much. Her mom, all that stuff in Battle for Azeroth. Her mom sucks. Her dad sucks. She's become her own character. She's been through like so much. She's strove for war. She strove for peace. Her character just... It's been through so much. And what's crazy is her character grows in different directions. Like I said, she wanted peace, then she wanted war. I don't really know what she's doing now, but I love Jaina. She gets pulled these different directions, and it's like... But I kind of agree with it. Every time she's pulled to a direction, I'm like, I kind of agree with you. Lady Liadrin. Another S-tier lady. Lady Liadrin is awesome. From her story in the Burning Crusade, how she goes from like a paladin who lost her way to thinking she can force the light to do what she wants, to then Adele finally teaching her, like, you can't force it to do anything, but you can channel it. She's in Hearthstone. Her Hearthstone... I shouldn't even mention that, but her Hearthstone voice lines are awesome. Her character's awesome. She's still helping us. And she still, like, leads the Blood Knights despite, like, knowing the Blood Knights are doing the wrong thing. She's, like, still trying to lead them towards doing the right thing. I love Milhouse Manastorm. I hate how they gave him, like, a wife-like character who's, like, nagging him all the time. Maleficent Manastorm is kind of irritating. It was funny the first like one or two times, but like we get it. She's a naggy wife. Like stop doing it now. Like make her actually like show care for him or something. I don't know. Moria Thracian, who's in the Thracian, she's like, I hate this. I hate Corona more, but I hate this. Ever since the Council of the Three Hammers is a thing, why does she still feel like she needs to speak up and be like, no, that's not what we're gonna do? And the other leaders are like, we already decided. And she's like, well, I don't like that. And it's like, we went into Blackrock Depths to like save you, and you just disagree with them constantly. Old Jaina, very mid. I like new Jaina, where she's like, again, she's been pulled in so many different directions, and like, I never really disagree with her. Okay, what's this character? Is this Kalia Menethil? I like Kalia Menethil, if that's who that is. I like her story. It's got a lot more, it's got potential. right? I don't know. Is this Sylvanas Windrunner like unpossessed? I'm just gonna put this in like F because I don't know who that's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be like Queen Sylvanas, which didn't happen? I don't know. I can't tell. I'm like trying to squint at it, and I'm just putting an F because I think it's a character that like doesn't exist. Okay, Sylvanas mind controlled. Actually, I like Sylvanas. Uncontrolled Sylvanas would be like an S because I think she has potential to like actually help us to like redeem herself, and her punishment was to like be in the maw until all the souls she took or whatever are fixed or whatever. I forget what the exact wording was, but I feel like Sylvanas has the potential, uncorrupted. I'm gonna use this as the uncorrupted. Has the potential to come back and be one of the coolest characters again. And they left it open ended, and I really hope we see Sylvanas again, but an actual good written story instead of the one we got. Okay. Thalyssra? I like Thalyssra. Looking more into the lore of Legion and the Nighthold, from going from a group that was basically, I don't know how else to put this, and this isn't the example I want to use, but this is what everybody says. So, from going from basically crack fiends who needed magic to finding alternatives to their like addiction. If we ever get Kael'thas back, her and Kael'thas need to get together because they both have. He's got an addiction and she's got the addiction solution. Night Warrior Tyrande. I hate it. I absolutely hate Night Warrior Tyrande. It's supposed to make her more badass, but then at the end of it, she dies. Like, we know now it's just gonna kill one of my favorite characters. Old Tyrande? I love Old Tyrande. Dude, when she went and helped Malfurion and Hyjal and was like just kind of like the wifey that was there, always supportive and just like kind of a badass in her own right. She's like, nah, fuck you, Archimonde, you're not doing this. And he's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And she's like, no, you're not. That Tyrande was awesome. I love Valeera too. I think her story is. I don't think it has enough to it to be S, actually. I love Valeera, but she can't be S because it needs more to it. But Valeera Sanguinar has a very good story. I like how she's like helping us, but not to like help us, but like it benefits her. Basically, she's like, I'm only saving the world because I need a world to exist on, right? Like the other Windrunner twin, mid. The only Windrunner I care about now is Sylvanas. These other two, like, got their closure or whatever. Like, your sister went, like, ape shit and was mind controlled. But, like, I feel like Sylvanas could come back and do so much more. Oh, this is Kalia Menethil. Okay. I'm gonna put her right next to her other picture. I really like how she's Arthas' sister, and there's like this whole thing. There's so much like that I'm talking about, like the sins of your brother, and she's like, but I'm not like that. I'm a different kind of Menethil, you know. Just because I have the name means nothing. Rel. Okay. Rel's story is like an S. Her voice actor and like her being irritating makes her like very mid. I like Rel. The story of Rel is awesome. The voice and like the writers need to make Rel not annoying. Is this Ysera? Ysera's very mid too. I like Ysera, but it ain't no dragon mommy, and it definitely is. If this is Marithra, her daughter, I don't like her daughter's like. But But I'm gonna just go with the assumption this is Ysera. I like Ysera. She's one of the dragonflies. She's cool. Lillian Voss. I hate this. I hate Lillian Voss. I hate how she can't come to terms that she's an undead, and she's been an undead for like the better part of a decade now. Like, just get with the time. Just figure it out. Quit whining about it. Just accept it. People like, look into the lore. She has accepted it. She gets it. She's doing better. Blah blah blah. No, no. I hate Lillian Voss. She's a whiner. Mother. I mean, she's got mother in her name. This is kind of a joke. She's going up here. I don't know why this is like on the women of Warcraft. Like, she's one raid boss that appeared one time. Are we led to believe she's like Illidan's mom? Because if that's the case, she's also Malfurion's mom, right? Because they're brothers. So did Illidan like corrupt their mom? And if so, who's their dad? I don't know. It's up here, but it's mostly a joke for the memes. Average human female. I like them in real life. I like them here. I'm just going to put them in S. Top of S. Is this another Valeris? No, this is Vanessa Van Cleef. I really like the story of Vanessa Van Cleef. How she went, like, she watched her dad get murdered. And she went on to, like, lead the Defias Brotherhood because she believes that they're right. And if you look into the lore, how can you not believe that they're right? Like, they built Stormwind and then didn't get paid for it. I'd be fucking mad too. And she just kind of carries on that. Whitemane. Whitemane's also pretty cool. I'm gonna put Whitemane in A. Even though people love Whitemane, but I don't think her story has enough to it to be like an S. Let's move on. What's this? Power scaling? Power scaling. Okay. Anduin, F. He cries every time. No, power... Let's be fair. Power scaling, he's like pretty... He's up there. He's getting there. He's gonna be stupidly powerful. He's gonna be like S in like The War Within. I think it's gonna flesh him out and make him like... I mean, if you read the End Times novel or whatever it's called, he ends up leading the whole world to victory against the Void Lords, so... I don't know. Right now he's like a B. If I could rate him myself and not power, he'd be like... I hate that he cries every time, but... Arthas? It hurts my soul, but knowing what we know now that he was ever the jailer was behind everything, he used to be here. But knowing what we know now, the jailer was behind everything. Yeah. Uncorrupted Arthas was probably like behind Anduin. Anduin's grown to be like such a stronger character and like more lore and... Yeah, okay. I think this is Doomhammer. People don't realize Doomhammer is strong as shit. There's a reason Thrall has the weapon and it's iconic, and because... Where's this Blackhand? I think this is... Either way, they belong in A. Both Blackhand and Doomhammer were insanely strong. Like, even in terms of orcs, they were like the biggest, baddest orcs around in the first Horde, right? He got his ass beat by Sylvanas. He's got to go down here, right? He's not an F because, like, he still put up the fight. Like, he didn't back down from the fight right away. Like, he didn't just instantly concede, but he got his ass beat. I feel like this is Turallion, but it can't be because that's Turallion. So, Dalen Proudmoore, probably. Probably, like, very mid. He was just a guy. He was Jaina's dad. I think it's Dalen, but... It's just a guy, right? Once again, Doomhammer. I think this is Doomhammer because he's wearing the original armor. But I'm going to have to put Doomhammer above Blackhand. Yeah, this has got to be Blackhand. Original Doomhammer's better than, because they've dueled and Doomhammer won, so obviously the guy who won's like power scaling would be more, right? Jaka, again, just was kind of a badass in her own right for being a female orc. She was like the strongest one, but she's notable for like giving birth to Thrall, so just like Morgrim Deadeye, kind of mid. I think it's Morgrim Deadeye. This is like supposed to be like I don't know, like Thrall or something. At this point he'd still be like there. Garena half orc, despite I hating her character, she's really strong. She's half Draenei, half orc, and she's a rogue. Yeah, like if you read her lore, she can do some stuff that like nobody else can. Gul'dan. I hate to give it to both these guys, but Gul'dan is friggin' Gul'dan is juiced, brothers. I don't think you understand. Both Gul'dans from both timelines, and I'm giving the Warlords one the edge because he did more stuff, but like this dude went into the Tomb of Sargeras, like not even scared of Sargeras himself. He's like, I'm just gonna go find the Final Titan and just like freaking beat him and then be the ruler of the Burning Legion. Like he was not at all afraid. No fear at all. And if you watch his short about how he became Gul'dan, how he used to be a cripple, dude, Gul'dan is like S tier and he's just straight evil. Jaina's grown to be an S tier too. Again, I'm gonna say this is like young Jaina and this is grown up Jaina. Jaina now has been through so much. She's an S. She's taken on like she could take on all these guys and probably not win, but like stalemate. Young Jaina, it's like a D. She didn't know what she was doing yet, right? Arthas as like the final, like the realized Lich King, probably above his like this one. I think this is supposed to be like with the helmet, without the helmet. Yeah, he's pretty strong. He's up there. I don't even know. I think this is the dude who died in Warcraft 3. He's like an average dude. I'm gonna put him here because even though he got like mind controlled by Sylvanas, he like still stood his ground for a while. Oh, dude, Medivh. Old Medivh, just a guy, pretty mid. Actually, pretty up there. But Medivh with like Sargeras stuff, possessed by Sargeras, dude. He was like the most powerful human to have ever lived, and then he was also possessed by like the most powerful like character in all the lore, which made him like giga strong. Ner'zhul, I'm gonna say like pretty friggin' strong. He became the first Lich King, and he got to be the leader of his clan by his clan actually believed that you could use magic in like macros and stuff, but he got to be the leader of that clan by still winning. So, and he went on to become the first Lich King. So naturally, he's got to be like on par with these guys. Thrall. I'm gonna say the same thing for Thrall as Jaina. His amount of being around and experience, like the amount of times he should have died and didn't, he's got to be up here. He is just strong as shit. I'm gonna put him above Jaina because I feel like if him and Jaina, they never will because they're friends. But if they ever fought, I feel like Thrall would win. Jaina could like run away, but Thrall would still. I mean, he's got the elements, right? So Bolvar, no, Tyrion Fordring. Actually, he technically broke Frostmourne. And, like, as time goes on, he's dropping, right? Because we haven't heard about him. But, like, from the last we heard of him, he's up there. And he's got the Ashbringer. Well, we have the Ashbringer now, but I think lore-wise he gave it to us or something. The last we heard of him as him, like, fighting and actively doing stuff before he retired, he's stronger than Lich King. He broke Frostmourne, right? Turalian, very strong. Been alive thousands of years. He was the king of Stormwind for like a patch, and then Anduin came back or whatever. Or he's the acting king right now. He's like the steward or whatever. I don't know what his official title is, but he's... I like Turalian, but he's not power scaling wise. He ain't up here. Uther the Lightbringer, the first paladin. Probably not as studied in magic as like original Medivh, but he was the first like paladin, right? Not the first paladin, but like the first one we hear about like training other paladins, which means he must be friggin' good, right? Varian Rin. Dude was just a normal guy, but he was such a badass. I'm gonna say because these guys got like magic and stuff. But I feel like he could like just beat Medivh out of sheer like will, and he could definitely beat Uther and like these other guys. Just out of just sheer like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you just because I'm the king or whatever. He's just a warrior, but like he always did badass stuff. Alakir, Elemental Lords. Strength wise, he's really up here too. I feel like Vayne. I feel like given enough time, these guys could probably beat Alakir. Oh, dude, Archimonde. Archimonde's like, he's not Medivh possessed strong, but he's like, he gave Gul'dan his powers and he could easily just like snap these dudes like a twig. Power wise, Archimonde's the third strongest character we've ever seen. Doomhammer's on here again. You're going right next to where you were before, buddy. Maiev? Maiev gets beat by everybody. She gets beat by everybody, and the only reason she gets Illidan is because we get Illidan for her. I hated her in Warcraft 3. She just ran around not knowing what she's doing. I hate... Maiev is the first F, guys. I'm sorry if you like Maiev, but... she has no clue what she's doing. She just runs around. Sithun. The old gods are notorious, sorry, Garrus is like scared of the old gods, right? And I feel like Sargeras could beat Sithun like with Medivh, but Sithun, like the old gods, are really up here in terms of power. Legion Illidan. Legion Illidan's really up here. I mean, he in prisons killed Jaden's or Sargeras himself, so by Legion, he's grown to be up here with the greats. I'd say Archimonde could beat him, like one-on-one, but we're kind of backing up Illidan now, so... Old Illidan? Like a B. He could beat these guys, but probably not. Grana is kind of weird, because in comics and stuff, she's super powerful, but in, like, the game, she's, like, down here. So I'm leaving her A, because that's, like, where the comics have placed her. Old Illidan... I feel like he could take on all these guys, but like he's too hot-headed back then. He'd lose somehow. Kill Jaden. Uh, Kil'jaeden's stronger than possessed. Medivh. Kil'jaeden, literally, we beat his ass in the Sunwell, and, like, according to lore, when we fight him again in Tomb, he basically says, like, that did nothing to him. Like, us beating his ass in Sunwell is just kind of inconvenient for him. He's the Great Deceiver, and he's the second strongest character in lore so far that we know of. Obviously, the Void Lords and stuff are stronger, but god damn, Kil'jaeden is like... Biblically, he's the equivalent to, like, Lucifer, but then if Lucifer had a boss, is Sargeras, so... And then, obviously, his brother, Archimonde, is, like, third strongest. But, like, the Legion was afraid of the old gods, and this is literally a Sargeras as well, so it's kind of hard to rank these guys. I think if these two were fought, it would be pretty even. Bolivar is the Lich King. I'm going to say F. He did nothing. He sat there until Sylvanas came and beat his ass. I mean, he controlled the Scourge, but that's power ranking? He didn't fight. This is my F. Who is this? Oh, this is Kalia Fels. Okay. Still a D. I'm going to assume this is my F and this is Kalia Felstorm. So I was wrong. My F's an F. At least Kalia, like, didn't just run around. Kalia actually had a purpose. She was like, believed the Legion was right and wanted to join them. Malfurion is, if you don't know, strong as shit. He'd probably lose to Gul'dan, but he definitely handily beat, like, these two. He's, like, one of the first druids to actually figure out all the different forms and stuff. Dude, Malfurion is actually fucking... He's jacked, and he's... Power-wise, he's really, really strong. They kind of underplay how strong Malfurion is. And he summoned the stuff to beat Archimonde the first time. Neptulon. Very mid. We haven't seen enough of him to really gauge. The fight we do help him in, he like summons, he gives you his power, which lets us like smack the absolute shit out of Azumat. But I don't know where he falls power-wise, like, after that. Like, what if he's drained from giving us his power? I don't know. I think he's pretty mid. N'Zoth. Now, actually, N'Zoth was said to be the weakest of the old gods. The youngest and the weakest. So I think his brother would beat his ass. But they never really fight each other. They just kind of plot against each other in like a backstabby kind of way. Like, hey, my minions are going to beat the shit out of your minions because, like, we love chaos and disorder. So, like, they never handle stuff themselves. They make their minions and lackeys go do the stuff for them. But lore-wise, they always said Sethune was, like, the oldest and the strongest, and N'Zoth was the weakest, but, like, the most plotting. I gotta make a special tier, right? Obviously. D. Probably top of D, because even though she's, like, giga powerful now as Night Warrior, she's going to die at the end of it. D. D for die. Old Tyrande. Strong as shit. Probably up here with Malfurion. Also, probably could beat these two in a fight, like Thrall and Jaina. I feel like Old Tyrande would, like, stalemate them. And then just be like, hey guys, nobody's ever gonna, like, win this, so let's just not fight or something. Velen. Believe it or not, Velen's like a B. He's got the gift of foresight. He can see the future. And he could probably beat up on, like, these guys. but he relies, like Illidan told him, he relies too much on the light and somebody else giving him his power instead of him. He's Archimon and Kil'jaeden's brother. He's the third of the Triune. But he gets to see the future. I mean, his power isn't really for fighting, it's for helping other people fight. Yogg Saron. Uh he's the middle of the old gods. Actually, Yasuraz is technically the oldest one, but he split into 7, so Sethune. Yogg Saron like corrupted most of Northrend, and he's the reason that like Serenite is considered evil, and like Serenite is what is used to make Frostmourne. Yeah, no, he's. I feel like the stuff Yogg did puts him stronger than Sethune, but like lore wise, in terms of like their ages and like how much like fighting experience and stuff they have, I feel like Sethune would still beat Yogg. All right, it's not even close. Oh shit! Clicking on. Guys, it's not even close. Like Sargeras corrupted this guy, and tried to corrupt this guy by himself. And when they challenged him to a fight, he's like, "You're nothing to me but gnats." He can slice through entire worlds. He's the reason this guy's corrupted. He used to fight these guys like all of them all at once and like was barely worried about them. He became worried about them because they just kept coming back, but he would just fight these 3 guys by himself and not be like even worried about it. He gave this guy his powers. He gave these guys their powers. He literally, like, coming to our planet and fighting these guys was below him. He sent his fucking lackeys. The Lich King was like plotting against him, and like he wasn't even worried about it. He knew about it, and it was just like, ha, let him plot against me. He's the reason the orcs are all like orcs. Like, it was described in the novels with Sargeras in there that his fire burns so hot it incinerates anything within 1,000 miles of him. Do you know how insane that is? And that's like that's just like an aura he has. I'm sorry, but Sargeras in this power ranking is just like, I get that in the lore we like imprisoned him and he's chilling with Illidan right now, but like it's not even you can't fight this guy. He is the final Titan. Like, I don't. Maybe Azeroth can take him on when she awakens. But like lore wise, he's like, and okay. The only reason he fell to evil is because he realized that they'll always be evil. So if you can't beat it, join it. Like, he's evil because he wants to be. He's evil because he like, maybe he's not wrong. I don't know. Okay, next. Iconic weapons in World of Warcraft. Well, this will be fun. What's this first one? Um, some kind of thing that looks like it goes in D because it's one of the artifact weapons. Uh, this was Agewynn's staff before A for Agewynn because it was super powerful when Agewynn had it. It's the Arcane Mage artifact weapon, but I don't know remember what it's called. The Death Knight artifact weapon for Unholy Apocalypse, I think it was called. It's pretty cool. B. Ashbringer. It's like top of the A. A for Ashbringer. It's like super iconic and awesome. Atiesh. We got our first S, boys. Atiesh has a long, fabled history that makes no sense. So let's try to go over this as quick as I can. Atiesh was a staff made by Medivh to channel the powers of the First Guardian. It was then given to... No, sorry. Aegwynn had it first. She made it to channel the powers of the First Guardian. She gave it to Medivh, who then became the First Guardian. Then somehow, when he was corrupted by Sigaris, he splintered it on purpose and gave those splinters to Kel'Thuzad for safekeeping in the Kirin Tor. Then when Kel'Thuzad became evil, you find the splinters in Nextarimus. You can go make Atiesh in Classic, and it's a legendary weapon, and the legendary effect is like, gives everybody like 3% crit. It's insane. It's a legendary item, right? Then somehow Dadgar has it because the Atiesh we had was like a recreation and not the real Atiesh. The real Atiesh went to Dadgar, and then Dadgar has it. But there's like funny interactions. If you have Atiesh and you ever see Khadgar, he like says stuff about it. He's like, how do you have the same weapon? Talons. Is this the Axis Cenarius or Talon Strike or... If it's the Axis Cenarius, it's way cooler, but then because I can't tell what it is, it's a D. Oh, Claws of Ursak. S for like making your druid like different aesthetics and stuff. The weapon itself is lame, but like what it does for your like druid forms is awesome. It has nothing to do with power, it has to do with like effect. Doomhammer, all that's up there too. Like both the artifact weapon and the actual weapon, iconic. It was Orgrim Doomhammer's Doomhammer, and then when he died, he passed it on to Draco, who then gave it to Thrall. Thrall kept literally named all the stuff after, like Orgrimmar is named after him. He holds the Doomhammer. He named Durotar after his dad, Durotan. This thing's been passed down for like so long that it's just like, it's iconic. Something Wrath, Terragosa's Rest. Dragon Wrath, Terragosa's Rest. Very cool legendary. The first caster legendary. Well, no, Atiesh was the first caster legendary, but this one was the first one that like the average player could complete if you really, really worked for it. And this would just duplicate your spells. Every spell you cast would just cast twice. It was really cool. Which would make you think it was a healer staff, but I think it specifically said harmful spells only. So it went to like a fire mage, because why would you give it to anyone else? Some kind of druid weapon, kind of like a D. The Fangs of Ashamain, again, really cool for what it did for your druid forms. I'm going to say the cat forms looked even cooler than the bear ones. Except the werebear. The werebear is the exception. I wish that was on here somewhere. But obviously it's a customization, so it can't be. I think this is King's Bane. King's Bane is cool. Daggers have never been big enough to show enough detail to like be like awesome, but I love daggers, so. Fangs of the Father. I forget what their names were. Something of the Deceiver and the Tooth of the Defiler, something like that. These, actually, if you never did the quest chain, make a rogue and go do the quest chain. These are awesome lore-wise. The effect was really cool, but I never got to use the effect when it was current. But rogues who did have it in Cataclysm said it was insane. It would just make your combo points 5 for like 6 seconds, and you could just like spam Eviscerate for the whole 6 seconds. Just like that. You could just spam Eviscerate, and you could do like 12 Eviscerates in the 6 second window. Very cool legendary. Could have been more practically used. Something. I'm gonna say this is Iron Foe. I don't know, because it doesn't have any, like, I can't tell from the picture, but the only thing I can think of is that it's Iron Foe, and Iron Foe is awesome. If you don't know, Iron Foe was an epic item in the classic game that has a lot more lore behind it than you'd guess. It was the hammer of the first king of Ironforge, and it somehow ended up in Blackrock Depths with Emperor Thracian. I think when he, like, left or sabotaged them or something. Anyway, Iron Foe was very cool. It gave 2 extra attacks. Fella Malorn, the Rising Phoenix. I'm gonna say my first F. For Fire Mage being so cool, the weapon looked so stupid. And it made you have to wear the offhand with it. I don't want to wear an offhand. Give me, like, a really cool 2-hand sword. Like, that would have been cool for the first time ever. Like, mages have a 2-hand sword because that's an artifact weapon, right? I don't know. I think Felum alone looks stupid. All the customization for it looks stupid. And what's sad is it was for one of the coolest specs in the game. Let's see, what is this? Another artifact weapon of some sort. Oh, this is the fists from Monk C. Frostborn, probably the coolest weapon on this entire list. Like, the most iconic. Like, you show somebody just this and they probably can guess. They're like, oh, that's the dude from Warcraft, or, like, you know, another monk weapon C. I don't know. Monks probably like their stuff, but some kind of warlock C. Gorehowl. I love Gorehowl. I want the HD version that just came out with the Mega Dungeon. Gorehowl looks cool. It just looks cool. I don't think it has any, like, lore significance. It's just Garrosh's axe, and then he made it, like, rigid and, like, I think there's, like, got, like, cleft hoof hilt, and it's got, like, a skull. It was his dad's before him. Yeah, it was Grom's axe, actually. And I think it's Gorehall the Giant Cleaver was originally, like, its first name, because Grom's dad, we learned in Warlords of Draenor, Grom's dad had it, and used to just go around, like, just killing, like, what is Gruul? Whatever those things are called. Gron? He used to just walk around and kill Gron with this thing, because he could. It's just like a typical warrior. Light's Justice, which was Arthas's original hammer. It's got a lot of lore behind it, but, like, in terms of just being a quest item that you pick up one time, lame. It's for the Shadowborn quest line, but it's just lame. Like, they use, like, a standard model for, like, Arthas's old hammer. I don't know. Uh, Priests probably got some lore, but I never paid attention enough to know, and that means it's probably mid. Oh, Blood. I can't remember, but it's awesome. The design of this thing is really cool. The Blood DK artifact weapon. Actually, I'm going to put this away. The Fangs of the Father is way cooler than the artifact weapons, because the quest line's so good. Well, Sorar. I don't like it. I try to transmog it to it all the time, because I think it looks cool. But I hate that this thing came from the Battered Hilt, which took, like, way too long to farm out and way too much gold on the auction house. And now the way it sits, the way it sheathes looks stupid. If they'd rework the way it's sheathed, or, like, give you the option to sheath it on your back or something, it would look way cooler. But Qual Dalar, when you saw this in Classic, this was cool. You got this from doing Fira's Companion of Dragon Slaying, and it would require you to turn in, like, a different epic sword to, like, recraft it into this sword. But this was one of the very few swords in Classic that had armor on it. So it's kind of like wearing like an extra shield too. It was really cool. What's this? Artifact. Ooh, artifact prot. I like this. Actually, I'm gonna move this down to B and move this up to A. Scale of the Earth Warder was cool. It had a lot to do with like Deathwing, and they went into it. And I didn't paid. Being a warrior man, I should have paid more attention. But like, this is like one of Deathwing's scales apparently, and then they reforge it into a sword and a shield. And what they're showing here in the image is not very telling, but you could get like the flail customization for it, and like all the little customizations are awesome. I like Scale of the Earth Order. Another Warlock artifact weapon, mid. I think this is Septus Argaris, which has a lot of lore behind it, but executed poorly. Scythe of Elune is really cool. The lore behind the Scythe of Elune is awesome. It was like passed down and then lost, and then somehow it was supposed to be Malfurian's, but he never actually got like his hands on it because it was lost. It's kind of like a Lord of the Rings-esque sort of like search for this thing. And then we find it, and Malfurian's like, nah, bro, you can have it. Shadowmourne. I like Shadowmourne is my second favorite weapon. I mean, it's Frostmourne, like, it's like it's supposed to be a brother blade to Frostmourne, and it's supposed to be like, again, if you can't beat them, join them. So, like, here's a weapon to, like, go beat the Lich King by his own game with, like, an axe version of Frostmourne. I wish it looked cooler. I think it was ahead of its time. Because, like, now you look at it and you're like, the graphics on that could be better. But I like Shadowmourne. Charlemagne. Charlemagne is Varian Rin's weapon that I think he crafted by himself. And then it's infused with the light. But what's awesome is it's one blade that can split into two blades. And then the other blade can, like, become like a shield. It's odd. If you ever play Heroes of the Storm, it shows you exactly how it works. But like, he can do like all three warrior specs because he can do arms, he can split it, be Fury, or he can be Prot. Because like the one side of Charlemagne folds out into a shield, and then it's infused with the light. And if you saw the new War Within cinematic, Thrall was telling him that Charlemagne's lost its light, and like anytime Anduin cries, it like reignites or whatever. Awesome weapon. Awesome how he can do like all three specs with it, and then awesome the lore behind like how it, like when you're feeling depressed and stuff, it kind of like goes out like hope's been lost, and then when it reignites, it means like you're ready to beat some ass. Varrock Sarafang used it too, and when he grabbed it, the light really like went crazy when Varrock had it. Cool weapon that like is kind of almost sentient by itself. Fists of Ra-Den, I think. Another Monk 1C. Some kind of Priest Hoop, also C. All artifact weapons are at least mid. The Skull of the Manari. I'm gonna put this in B because it's funny. It's the only artifact weapon that like actively it like talk to you and stuff. It would be like, we need more DPS, or like, I don't know. It was funny. Stormcrow the Warbreaker. Another one I hated. I still hate all the designs of this thing. As arms warrior, I feel like we got ripped off an artifact weapon. It should have been like Ash Candy reforged, but like big and stupid. And I mean, it was big and stupid, but it was big and stupid instead of big and like aesthetically pleasing. Hand of Ragnaros. I love. It's just cool that it's like a mini version of Ragnaros' hammer, and then they explain that it literally is. When they reforged it in the likeness of his hammer, so it's not actually his hammer, it's like his hammer downscaled for mortals and then infused with the same power. So it's like It's like they made it like a 1 to 10 scale, and then they explain how like master blacksmiths in the world like recreated Ragnar's hammer, but usable by us. Tashalatch? 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 Tay? Salach. Taste. I don't know how to pronounce it, but lore-wise, I think it's one half of Sargeras' sword, which is said to be the greatest sword in existence. When it was full, when it was one blade, he used to like cut worlds in half with it. So how can that not be like one of the coolest things? And then it broke, and then he gave half of it to Agramar, and then you can get it as a transmog now. I never understood why it was never a full, like not a full weapon, but like a usable weapon. It was only ever cosmetic. Talon Strike. This is actually Talon Strike. D. Hunters got ripped off. Same with the bow. D. The Hunter's artifact weapons suck. The Black Hand. Oh, dude. It's like a big freaking furnace, but then it's also a mace. And then when Black Hand had it, it was freaking cool, and it dropped, and it like was the same exact model. I still to this day sometimes transmog to the Blackrock Foundry stuff and this hammer because like it matches perfectly. You end up looking like Black Hand with the Black Hand. Hammer Twilight. I hate it. It looks stupid. It's better than Fellow Malorn, and it's whatever the fuck they gave us as Arms Warrior. But this Cho'Gall's hammer, it was supposed to be like infused with all the elements and stuff, but then it just ended up being purple. And like it's got like too many spikes that don't make sense. Like most of these spikes would just hit you instead of your opponent. And even though you're not supposed to be hitting people with it, you're supposed to be like channeling the elements through it or whatever. It's dumb. Funny is the entire Twilight's Hammer clan is based on this weapon, and the weapon sucks. Rogue, right here. I think this is actually Kingsbane, but right next to the whatever the other one was called. Although the customizations on Kingsbane one was way cooler than the Poison one. Fists of Ra-Den. I hate it. I hate that the shield it looks so stupid. Like, why wasn't the shield an actual shield? It's actually cooler than these, but it's still a fail. Like, the shield, like, it's one little thing on your... It's like you're trying to wear the Infinity Gauntlet, and the element goes around it, but, like, the element is so small. Just give Shaman an actual shield if you wanted to do this. Xalatath, very cool because of the lore that's coming up in the War Within, how this is now an actual, like, Void Lord's lackey or lieutenant or something, and she was trapped in the weapon the whole time. Lame design. Super lame design. I don't like how the weapon looks, but in terms of the lore that's coming, very cool weapon. This is Kingsbane. Okay. Sorry, I don't know the rogue ones. I just know that they're all like pretty decent and got decent customizations. Kingsbane got the best of the customizations. The customization on Kingsbane was so good that it's now like a talent or something. Tyr's Hand. I hate this. This looks so stupid. You're wearing a square on your back. And it had like one good customization where it was like instead of a big mace, it was like a big sword or something. Yeah, Tyr's Hand is dumb. Thoradal, the Star's Fury. The absolute dumbest model for a legendary in the game, I think, because it's a bow, but it looks just like the other bow. It looks like a normal bow, you can't tell. However, it made all your arrows that you shot blue, which back in the day was like very telling that you had it on. Top of the sea. The thing where it made your arrows different? I think it does, actually. When you shoot, it makes everything blue, regardless of what it... Like, let's say you shoot a shot that's, like, fire shot. It's clearly supposed to be red. If you wear Thoradol, it'll actually be blue instead, which is really cool. It's a very cool thing that they made a legendary, like, still work with stuff today. Warglaze of Azeroth? Oh, man, that's... I still like Shadowborn more, actually, because it's got more effect, but these... No. It's cooler than Shadowborn, and it's actually cooler than Taishalatch. Dude, the effects on these... I'm surprised the computer didn't blow up in, like, 2007 or whenever. Like, when people started getting Warglaves. Like, the green effect and stuff on these. I mean, this is Illidan holding it, they're pretty much his. But man, the Warglaves look cool. They're not as cool as Frostborn. That's like an iconic, like you ask anybody what this is, and they probably know. But the Warglaves of Azeroth. And the lore's like pretty mysterious too. Like, how did Illidan get him? He killed a demon called Azeroth and then named the weapons after the demon. Well, how'd that fight go? We don't know. We just know Illidan beat his ass. Thunder Fury. I'm gonna say the second most iconic weapon in the game. Like, non-players will probably know what Frostborn is. Thunder Fury, on the other hand, you play for like 10 seconds, somebody's linking this shit in trade chat. You walk by a guy and he's like, "Hey, do you know what Thunder Fury is or where I can get it?" Or, what's another common one? "Oh, Thunder Fury is still hard to get to this day. You have to go grind like 1200 thorium to get one stupid Thunder Fury." It's probably a lot easier now that like things stack to 200. You go to the auction house and buy like a stack of 200 for like 5 gold. But still, the amount of materials required to actually make it is pretty intense, right? And you still got to go do the quest chain. You have to get the drops from Baron Geddon and Gar, and they're both still 3%, so good luck. Gun. Hunter Artifact Gun. Kinda cool, I guess. I bet it had a lot of cool customization, but like, guns have really fallen off in this game. Bows are still way cooler. I don't know. They need to make some of the guns like the old ones, like the Wolf Slayer. I can't think of some other ones now. There was one from Nex that looked really cool. Excuse me, Truth Guard. Truth Guard was really cool. I like the customizations. Like the one pictured here again is not. You can make the shield like twice as big, and you can make the weapon like stupidly big too. And there's one you can unlock that's literally a flail. So, Truth Guard's cool. Naru and a stick. I think it was literally just called Naru, was the name of the staff, but mid. Probably cooler than these, but like still mid. It was a Naru and a stick, and it was for Holy, I think. Pretty sure this was for Disc and this was for Holy. Either way, I don't get why Naru and a stick was like a thing they had to do. Twin Blades of Fury? Deceiver? Very cool. Probably the coolest like artifact weapon. Every customization looks good, even the base one. They were like the Warglaves of Azeroth, but not ignited yet. And then you could unlock ones that were like just all flame. You could unlock ones that were like halfway turned on. You could unlock ones that like different colors. And you can unlock like one that's the ones that two that are like stupidly big. Fell Harvester. Very cool artifact weapon. For Warlocks. Valenier, Hammer of the Ancient Kings. Aesthetically stupid looking, but But the effect on this makes an S. This in Wrath, if you got this on like 2 of your healers, it would like double your EHP because the shield that would come off this was equal to 15% of your healing over 10 seconds. And the proc was like it would be like it would be on for 10 seconds, off for 5, on for 10, off for like the proc rate on this was stupid. And then when it did proc, it would 15% of all your healing for 10 seconds would put shields on guys for like double their health pool. It was this legendary came into being because there was a trinket from Classic, and I don't remember what it was called, that had the same effect, but it was so good that people used it like into Cataclysm. That's how this legendary, they're like, let's take that trinket and make it again, but then put it on a legendary. And this thing was truly legendary for healing. Okay. Branch Caliber, which I don't understand because this is a Hearthstone card. I don't even know why it's on this list. It's not an F. It's cool looking, but so I'll describe it quick because it's literally a Hearthstone card, and I don't know why it's in the WoW weapons, but every time you attack in Hearthstone, this would shuffle a bomb into your opponent's deck, and then at one point, Bomb Warrior was the best deck in the entire game. That's all you need to know. It's a D because I think it looks stupid, but cool effect. War Swords of the Valajar. It's my favorite. It's not an S, but it's my favorite. I mean, it's for Fury, and we got 2 gigantic swords. Like, they're like, you know what? This expansion, you're all Titan's Grip, whether you like it or not, but here's 2 really freaking cool swords. Every customization was cool. The Mage Tower one's the best one. But, the PvP ones are really cool, too, where they're like Storm. They look kind of like Thunder Fury, sort of. But yeah, that's my list for that. Let's see. Expansions based on their lore. Not even gonna lie to you, there's a reason I'm biased towards this one. I love the lore of Wrath of the Lich King. I went over it previously and in all my other tier lists. I'm biased towards this. Cataclysm. I actually really like the lore behind Cataclysm. It actually made, like, Deathwing coming back finally made sense, and Mists of Pandaria, surprisingly good for what it was. Let's see, Battle for Azeroth. I don't know whether it's, oh, C, D, and F are mixed up. F, Battle for Azeroth. It's like after the first patch, they gave up on the lore and just started throwing shit at us. It was supposed to be a big battle between the Horde and the Alliance, and instead of being that, it became, let's make a character who has weird morals, and that's who we're fighting this patch. Legion. Dude, the lore of Legion was awesome. We finally got to like take on the big bad that's been behind most things in the lore the whole time. Great. Burning Crusade. Because Legion is so good, it ruined the lore of the Burning Crusade. Illidan's good now, which makes the Burning Crusade lore bad, because why were we fighting him? Why was he fighting us? Why couldn't he just have a sit down with us and be like, guys, I'm actually trying to help you? I get at the time they couldn't do that, but then make it make sense. Original WoW. Kinda bad, actually. The dwarves dug too deep and unleashed Ragnaros. Nefarian just as a black dragon, so he felt compelled to evil. And Kel'Thuzad, who had really good lore from Warcraft 3, but I don't understand why he took so long to strike at us, or I'm trying to think. I just don't get the stories of classic WoW. Like, that makes sense, but back then we were first fighting such like minor threats to our world or whatever. Don't get me wrong, Ragnos is a huge threat, but he wouldn't just appear and wipe out the whole world. He would appear in like places that are usually cold would have issues, right? And even the lore characters would probably still eventually take out Ragnaros. We just kind of we did it for them ahead of time, right? They didn't have to deal with Ragnaros. We handled them before they had to. Warlords Draenor, very good lore. Cool how we got to go back and see some of the stuff, but so much stuff was cut that it was like, classic raid encounters. Okay, well, that's the last one for today. Gluth. I don't like the zombie mechanic. Everything about Gluth is cool except for the fact that he can eat a zombie and heal back up to full health. Very dumb. 4 horsemen. There's a whole story behind this. If you don't know who Tiny Violin is, go look up Tiny Violin. He wiped a whole hardcore raid because he said that they were doing things that were not hardcore. They were pretty much cheating, is what he said. And he went on to become known as the 5th Horseman. This boss isn't iconic for this boss. This boss is iconic because of the drama around it. Back in the day, it was so hard. You needed 8 tanks in Next 40 to like even think about doing this boss. And to get 8 tanks geared enough to do this boss, it was nothing but drama, guild scalping. And then now that Classic is re-released, it just became more drama because now people like, this is the meme boss. You get to this boss and everybody's like, oh, they're going to wipe us on purpose and this and that. And this boss is S because of the amount of like outside of the game shit that it causes. Anubarak, or not, Anubrakan, sorry. He's really easy for an opener boss to the final raid. Like, everybody has Spiderwing first, and this is the first boss in Spiderwing. He does like Locust Swarm, and you just run away from him. It's kind of weird because in Classic there wasn't a lot of movement speed and stuff yet, but this is the boss you had to bring somebody or something that could like, you needed to run away from him during the Locust Swarm. Beardlord Lashslayer. I don't know that he has mechanics. I think he's just a tank and spank. Very cool that he's a unique dragon model and stuff. For the time. But, he kind of just stands there at the gate. Vemvex and Princess Hex. Bug Trio was cool, but it had like too many mechanics for the time. I think you need to kill. There was a kill order. You couldn't kill the princess first, and the blue one was bad. But there's people now who play Classic who kill them in like elite order when you do it the wrong way. Fun boss. Way too many mechanics for its time. Chromagus. I love Chromagus. How throughout the whole dungeon you're getting hourglass sand to remove Brutaflexion bronze. And then he does other ones like Brutaflexion blue makes you slow, drains your mana. Brutaflexion red drains your health and makes you take damage over time. Brutaflexion black, which is the worst one because if you die with black on you, you like he resets his health to full and he summons like an ad that's like immortal. Sithun. Another one that's a lot of drama out of the game. This is the first time somebody said mathematically impossible because of this boss, there were ads that would spawn like in the ground or outside of the room that would wipe you. And while, yes, it was mathematically impossible until they hotfixed the ads under the ground, there were people who claimed you still couldn't do it. And then somebody did it. I forget who. Probably like Nihilum or somebody beat this, but it was just funny that, like, everybody kept saying it's impossible, and then they made it possible, and they're like, it's still impossible, and then somebody just did it, and they're like, yep, seems really impossible to us. Ebon Rock. I like Ebon Rock. It's another tank and spank. It's like Broodlord, but it actually has a mechanic. If your tanks don't taunt off each other, like almost preemptively, his touch of shadow he puts on people heals them back up to full. So your tanks need to be like instantly on the taunt, or yeah. Fairlena, Grand Widow. It's okay. Rain of Fire is like, you just don't stand in the Rain of Fire and then you kill the ads in like a kill order so that she doesn't enrage, and then again elitists do it the wrong way. They blast all the ads instantly and then the tank just like shield walls, and then everybody has so much gear in the classic re-release that like this boss dies before the enrage ever even does anything. Kirax, this boss is dumb. I think his mechanics is he spawns little ads that like move towards them. The little ads are like blown up so incredibly fast, it doesn't matter. I'm sure he was hard in the classic game, but I don't remember. It's been too long, and his mechanics now do nothing. Fire Maw. Is this the one that puts Wing Buffet on you? I think it is. Fire Maw's cool. Actually, Flame Gore is cool too. All these dragons have like unique. They all have the same model, which sucks, but they all do like unique things. But I like, in this order, I like Ebon Rock. I like Ebon Rock more than Fire Maw, and I like both of these more than Flame Gore. So Gar. He has one mechanic. You just kill the Fire Sworns before you kill him, and you spread out because the Fire Sworns do like a little explosion, and then Gar does like a big explosion when he dies. Again, it's just a kill order. You kill like one ad, then you DPS him a little, then you kill another ad. He's got like 6 ads. You DPS him a little, then you kill ad 2, then you DPS him a little, then you kill ad 3, and you just rinse and repeat till he's dead. Baron Geddon. Hot take. The pun is intended here. I love watching to this day idiots still blow up the whole raid with Living Bomb. This is just absolutely hilarious. Whoever at Blizzard put this in, I don't think thought, oh, people will realize they're a Living Bomb and leave. No! They'll troll you. They'll stand there and they'll like get closer to you to try to kill you. Gehennis, he did like a curse that like something with mana, I think. He was okay. He's mid. Golmag. Golmag is cool. Golmag would like, he was pretty much a tank and spank, but he did this thing like, he did like melt armor on the main tanks, and then he did like lava spit or lava something, and it was like a DPS race because it would just keep stacking up and up, and eventually he would kill you or you'd kill him. But again, with the classic re-release, people know this game, it's solved. They just DPS him down so fast, you get like 1 stack of lava spit, and it doesn't matter. He's got these 2 little core hounds with him that the off tank just takes over to like, I think now like speedrun guilds are doing, or having like a hunter pull and like run like back to the beginning of Molten Core so that the dogs don't like, you don't even deal with the dogs at all at any point. Gothic the Harvester. Is this Gothic the no, this is Hagen. This is Gothic the Harvester. Gothic the Harvester sucks. It's a boss where you just kill ads the entire time, and then the boss comes and casts Shadow Bolt until he's out of mana, and then he does nothing. He just stands there. Cool concept for a fight, but like, if they ever do like a classic plus, I would like to see Gothic like be in the fight. Maybe not DPSable, but he does like Rain of Fire somewhere, or I don't know, Death and Decay on the ground, like half the room or something, so you can only DPS ads on like one side. And I don't know, just add more mechanics to him. Grobulus. Grobulus is another mid-level boss. He injects poison into the tanks, and the poison goes on the ground, and then they have to move. And then poison can get randomly injected on a random player too, so they usually go stand where all the other poison puddles are. And all you do is slowly kite him in a circle around the room. And if you get back to the beginning of your circle before the time he's dead, you die, because then you're out of room. But like, again, classic is a solved game, and people kill Grobulus so fast. It's not even like a circle. It's like a line. And now the line is so short that like, I think he poisons like maybe like 4 people. He dies so fast. Hagen the Unclean, the safety dance, brother. This is fun. I'm gonna put it up here only because people are so, to this day, people still don't know why they died to this. And it's like, guys, just follow the marks and like, don't ever be behind. Try to be like in front of the main, like, the guy who knows what he's doing and doing it, be in front of him. Just be ahead. Like, you won't hit the next goo if you like clearly know what you're doing better than the guy who's explained it to you. I don't know. I love watching people fail the safety dance still. That's fucking hilarious. It's like how it's gotten to a point now in Wrath Classic where if there's people going for Immortal or whatever, they just tell you just stand out of the room. Just don't even stand in the room with us. Princess Hoo Ron. Another F tier boss. The boss is basically like get cap nature resist, and then the boss is like dumb easy because the poison. So in classic WoW, the cap on resists is 230. It's like soft cap. You'll still take damage, but you'll take like always the minimum damage, right? Huhuran is you just get 230 nature resist, and then it becomes like a joke. As long as your healers like heal, you'll be fine. Kel'Thuzad, baby. The final boss of World of Warcraft Classic. I love Kel'Thuzad. I hate the first phase, but the second phase, like, with all the little ads coming to you, I hate that he takes a while to strike. They should take that part out and do something else there. I love on that they did on the Ascension private servers. They made it so the first phase, instead of little ads coming towards you, you have to refight every boss of Naxxramas. And this is like the hardest difficulty. But they make you refight every boss of Naxxramas, like a echo version of them, where the mechanic you still got to do the mechanics, but the mechanics do like half of the damage they would normally do. And like Thaddeus, you have to get on the right side still. Like in Ubercon, you have to run away from his Locust Swarm, and they make you go through all the bosses again, but like echoes of them, and then Kel'Thuzad strikes. Very cool. I wish they'd like if they ever do Classic Plus, that's what they need to do with him. Make him like actually feel menacing and like the final boss of World of Warcraft Classic. Again, I hate Phase 1 with the A-bombs and little skellies. Phase 2 is so cool with the mind controls, the chains, the freezes, the every like 25% he calls in these like guys that look just like a Nubercon. They look just like this guy. And like the little ads just need to be off-tanked because they're pretty much immortal. I mean, you could kill them, but they're pretty much immortal. And when you kill Kel'Thuzad, they just run off. They just like scurry away. Very cool. I think lore-wise, his lore is so much deeper and cooler than his fight. Lotheb. Lothab is funny, and he's a B because they literally said they named Lothab as like an anagram of Healbot, and you can't heal during this fight. Every 5 seconds, you can heal for like 1 second, and then it repeats. And it's like a gigantic DPS race, and these little spores come. The spores make all your attacks critical strikes, so that you can actually like beat the DPS race. But that's it. That's the mechanics, is that you can't heal, and you pretty much have to like rely on classes with big crit, or like big crit damage. Major Domo Executus. Very cool fight again. I think it's cool that the classic game had like a council-esque fight where the objective was killing the ads and not the boss. You pretty much just tanked Major Domo like away, and then the kill order was healers, and then the Flameborn guys. And he would just give up. He'd be like, I concede, and then he would actually go summon Ragnaros. Very cool. My Exna, another B that's like fun. I've played it, and to this day I don't get how the poison works. I don't get how the web wraps work. She's always been dead so fast, I never know what the poison of the web wrap's supposed to do. Magmadar. C for cleanse. It's pretty much attack and spank, but you needed hunters to have a tranquility shot, which I think dropped in like Dire Maul Tribute or something. Or Magmadar would go berserk, and just like berserk was really bad because it would even hit tanks for like half their health per hit. And because he's two-headed, he'd attack really fast. Because I think the heads had different swing timers. Kind of fun. But it wasn't. The encounter was completely countered by Tranquility Shot. They have another major. Oh, this is Lucifron. Lucifer Gun State. This is Major Doma Executus. Lucifron was super fun because he did a curse, and all you needed your mages to do was dispel. This just goes to prove people are stupid. And mages back then had no clue that they even had a remove curse. Probably wasn't even on their bars. Super easy now because you assign like one mage to just click through everybody. But Lucifron is as the opener raid boss to World of Warcraft. His name is Lucifron, Lucifer, and he was actually kind of challenging, kind of cool. Nefarian. Hot take. I really like the class calls and stuff. This was funny. Again, the part where the little draconids come out at the beginning is very dumb. You needed the Shadow Flame Cloak so you didn't instantly die when he landed. Not Shadow Flame Cloak. Onyxia Scale Cloak. This was cool. I like Nefarian. Not the Plaguebringer. It's like a D. I hate that you spend like 60% of the fight fighting like ads, and he puts a curse on somebody, and then after like 3 seconds, it kills them. And you tell your raiders, like, it's so easy, just to curse it, and they still miss it. You give them like a weak order nowadays that says like, dispel or he dies in 3 seconds, and it'll be like big, their entire screen and count down, and they'll still miss it. And they're like, I lagged. You didn't lag, you just didn't press your fucking button, my guy. Aru. I don't know this guy's name. It's Oru. It was okay. He would like burrow and chase players, and then like everybody needed to engage him at the exact same time because he did this thing called Sand Spit, which is his first ability. And if you weren't in combat with him within like 1 second, Sand Spit instantly killed you. It was kind of funny. But it was one of these bosses where like they tried to make a mechanic where like threat would matter, but it really didn't. What would happen is everybody would hit the boss at the same time, And then from there, tanks would just do what they always do. Just like build threat. It's kind of cool that they tried to like make a boss that would instantly wipe you, but it just became like, hey, dipshits, everybody hit the boss like at the same time, and then the tanks, if you had competent tanks, they would know what to do. Patchwork. Oh, dude. Patchwork want to play? Actually, there's only one other boss on this list I think it would go above Patchwork. Patchwork was the simplest thing ever. He was a tank and spank. But the catch was, Patchwork was the hardest hitting mob in all of Classic, and it wasn't even close. He would hit tanks in full gear for like 90% of their health. And he had like Mortal Strike and some other one that would hit the off tank. And this isn't like next 25. In next 40, he would do like Hurtful Strike. I think it's what's called Hurtful Strike. Would hit your tank and then 4 other tanks. And you would hit your main tank with Mortal Strike. So then they needed a taunt. But they couldn't taunt until like they were all topped off. And then as you were fighting Patchwork, you would just get more and more berserk and like attack faster and hit harder. And he was already the hardest hitting mob in the game. So like something so simple as a tank and spank, they actually made it like harder. I don't know. I love Patchwork. Patchwork just hit really hard, and that's all he needed to do. And it was a fun fight. Positioning kind of mattered. Threat kind of mattered. Alright, let's move on. Prophet Scarum. I hate Prophet. I think he's my lowest of low F. All I remember him doing is he would clone himself, and then you had to figure out which clone was the real one. And he was basically the Bale fight from Diablo 2, where the real Scarum had like something with the letters in his name were different or like in a different position, which made no sense for people with unit frames. And I just didn't like it. It's like they couldn't think of anything more creative than Bale from Diablo 2. Ragnaros is my favorite classic fight. I think he's my favorite fight in all of World of Warcraft besides Lich King. Because Ragnaros, back in the day, it was hard to get to him. We got to him before Blackwing Lair. He was big. He felt like a final boss, and his mechanics were just insane. Like he would submerge, and then the Sons of Flame would come, and if you killed them together, you'd wipe because each Son of Flame would empower the next one. He had Sulfuron Smash, which was like hit your tank for like, I think he hit your tank for 100% of their health, but as long as they had like an absorb, they'd live. He did the knockback by Fire Be Purged, and it would send you flying like, if you landed anywhere but the lava, I think the falling damage killed you. I'm pretty sure. But then people figured out there's a way to cheese it. There was like a rock with a little bit of an overhang you could stand under. I guess part of Ragnaros' difficulties back in the day, his model was like unique and had all these particle effects, and like for 2004, 2005, it was a mind-blowing model. And I think some people, when he like came out, like some people's computers just melted. I think being the Fire Lord extended beyond the game. So I love Ragnaros. I love that I brought him back in Firelands. And he's just a villain for the sake of being a villain. Like, he's supposed to represent the element of fire, but then he's like well, fire burns everything, so naturally I'd be like pulled towards evil, right? And then he even explained like the reason we could even beat him is because we summoned like Major Domo summoned him too early, so he was like in a weakened state. Oh man, Ragnos is so cool. Okay. Razorgore the Untamed. Oh, and he had exactly 1,000,000 hit points. Yeah. I think Blizzard didn't know what to give him as a health, so like back then when you're hitting for like 41, 1,000,000 sounded like a shit ton. But then when you realize you have 40 people doing like, 40 back in the day, but then they optimized with the re-release and everybody does like 400 DPS now, it doesn't take very long. Razorgore the Untamed. Okay, I got a new favorite. My new unfavorite boss. This boss, he had mechanics after the egg phase, but the egg phase was so long and so not fun. You as DPS stood around and killed the little ads that would come, and there would be one guy, usually like a tank or somebody, would run around the broom with Razorgore mind controlled, and he would stomp on all his own eggs. But the more eggs he broke, the more ads would come. And then at the end of the fight, when you broke all his eggs, you could finally kill him. But you had so many freaking ads running around. First off, back in the day, your computer wouldn't work because you'd have like 40 ads and you were lagging so bad you couldn't tell what was going on. But then on top of that, he would like do conflagration on everybody, which would make them just run around in circles for like 3 seconds. And then the ads would kill you. So it's like because of the technical limitations of the time, this boss was just hard. It was unnecessarily hard for the technical limitations of the time. And now it's just hard because like he's easy and like most people go AFK and like don't pay attention, right? Because now he's easy. So like this is the like you go AFK because your cat fell up the stairs kind of boss, and I hate it. They need to rework this in Classic Plus somehow. Instructor Vesuvius? Actually, this was the hardest hitting boss in all of Classic. But because it was like unlivable damage, he'd hit you for like 210% of your maximum health, so no matter how much absorb you'd have, he'd kill you. But the catch was you mind controlled the guys around him, and the guys around him had Bone Shield, which ignored all damage. It was fun. It's up there with like Acromagus. He's the hardest hitting boss in Classic, but like I said, there was like a gimmick. There's a reason he hit so hard. Saffron. I don't like this. I don't like the ice tombs that you gotta get behind, and I don't like... I'm biased towards this because I got benched. I never got to beat Classic WoW. Because again, my dad ran the best guild on the server, and they went... Nobody told me I needed Frost Resist, so I was benched because I didn't have the Frost Resist. And even the tries I was in for this, I hated this boss. Probably because I was dead, like, instantly, but... Yeah, there was, like, ice tombs you had to run behind, and he hit really hard. But again, it was cheesed by resistance, so... Battleguard Citrion, something like that. This sucked. This had like a frontal cleave. This is almost an F tier boss, but it's not because it's not just cheesed by resistance. This was completely cheesed by resistance, where this was cheesed by resistance and it had like the Frost Tomb mechanic. So it's better than an F. This is better than an F because at least the two ads, one was like a healer ad and one was a melee ad. And that was fun. At least there was like a kill order. You killed the ads and then you killed the battle guard. Shazra. Ooh, Shazra is really fun. Shazra had like one mechanic. I think he cast like Arcane Explosion. But he put the curse on everybody again, just like Luciferon. The curse was that you take like 500% arcane damage. So you could just get unlucky and get the curse put on you, and then Arcane exploded like right after? Because it's an instant-cast spell, there's nothing you could do. You were just dead. Nowadays, again, people decurse like instantly. But back in the day, this was fun. Sulfuron Harbinger. I don't like Sulfuron Harbinger. He's not a D because he actually had a kill order. He had healer ads. But this actually taught you how to do Major Domo Executus. This was Major Domo Executus Light. You actually had to kill the ads and then him, whereas Major Domo just gave up. Major Domo had way more healer ads. It gets a C. It's not a D. And it gets a C because it taught you how to do Major Domo Executus. Alright, next. Thaddeus. I love Thaddeus. It is a boss where the simplest thing is switch fucking sides. People can't do it. And I love the drama and stuff that comes out of this too. He's just a big stupid tank and spank with a beginning phase where you just kill 2 ads equally and then jump down to Thaddeus. There's people that'll miss the jump. There's people that'll claim their leg. There's people who are just so stupid they don't even know their spacebar does something. Seems like the older I get, the more I love the fights and stuff in the game that just cause drama, because it's like you just watch these idiots squabble with each other, and it's all you have to do is switch sides. One side's negative, one side's positive, and you do it in a clockwise order so that like everybody knows where they're going. All right, next. Ooh, Twin M's. Again, for the classic game, I think the Twin M's was really cool how they tried to change it up with a caster tank, and they would switch sides, and no matter what, they'd always run past each other and heal each other up a little bit. So this boss's effective health pool is way bigger than it seemed. I believe they shared health, and they drop a really cool sword called Kalimdor's Edge, which I still don't have, even on retail. A very cool penultimate boss to Sithun. Valistraz the Corrupt. Another one that's a banger. B for banger. He's not as good as Thaddeus. For a boss that started at 30% health, and you're standing there thinking this guy will be dead in like 10 seconds, no. You had DPS that would go AFK, and then they'd be dying to the burning adrenaline. This was the quintessential DPS race boss. It gave you all the tools to DPS him down quickly, and people still wouldn't do it. Last one. I think I moved. Yeah, I hate get down there. The worst boss of them all, Vicious. Vicious was a boss when they thought, let's make a boss that never takes damage unless he's taking frost damage. Which means you took like 38 mages, a warrior, and a paladin, and you would just hope that you could freeze him fast enough to kill him. This boss was horrible designed. It still is horrible designed because you can't solo him. For a boss that's 20 years old, you cannot solo him. I want us to be able to solo Vicious. Just fix it. And that's the end of my lists. Vicious goes down as probably the worst boss in the entire game. Not just classic. I think this is the worst boss they ever made. I don't know why they thought only frost damage should be able to actually hurt this guy. Stupid. And 20 years later, he's still not fixed. Thanks everybody for watching. I got another video coming in a couple minutes. I'm going to do the Lego Sea of Zoladar, where I go through my entire time playing WoW with some screenshots. But I gotta go catch some lunch or something first. Peace.